Welcome to the Double R Show, the podcast that features everything about North Lincoln County. The Double R Show, directed and produced by Paul Robertson and hosted by the voice of Lincoln City, Roger Robertson.
Welcome to the Double R Show, right here on this podcast spot on your dial, if you will. With me is son Paul, and we've got an interesting program, kind of diverse.
Yeah, we're going to look at a couple new things here for us. We're going to speak with some Toastmasters. So get your ums and ahs. Correct all those ums and ahs, and hear from a couple of our local Toastmasters here in town. And
interesting program.
It is, yeah.
Wait till you hear about the wedding.
Oh, very good point.
Wait till you hear about the wedding. Then we have also a couple of other special guests, including Dr. Leslie Ogden.
Yeah, and Evan Haydock from the Mid-Coast Watershed Council. So
something that we have not discussed before is the Mid-Coast Watershed Council, what they do, and they've got formidable tasks.
Yeah, and stuff local here that we'll be seeing progress on now and again in 2025. So stay tuned.
With Paul on the Double R Show, we're ready to go. We'll be back in just a moment.
The train is right on time. Grand Funk Railroad, the American Band. Saturday, November 9th, Chinook Winds Casino Resort. Tickets on sale now at ChinookWinds.com, Chinook Winds box office, or by phone at 1-888-MAIN-ACT. Grand Funk Railroad, Chinook Winds, where concerts are better at the beach.
Well, we're not going to count oohs and ahs, but we're going to talk about Toastmasters. And Toastmasters is something that is kind of near and dear to my heart. Back up a lot of years ago. With us is Sheila and Hollywood Joe. Hollywood Joe, really?
Yeah, it is.
Hollywood Joe in person.
Yes.
Toastmasters. Why? What is Toastmasters?
Well, Toastmasters is a nonprofit, international, educational, worldwide, founded in 1924, Ralph Smedley. It's a great place to come and learn communication and leadership skills.
You are meeting weekly, monthly, annually in Lincoln City, or what's the status?
In Lincoln City, we do meet in person only, and we meet the second and fourth Thursday of the month at the Lincoln City Cultural Center.
And who can attend?
Anybody can attend. Guests are always free.
Anyone with a pulse.
Why would anybody join Toastmasters?
Well, for one reason, we're all drawn to being around other people and then practicing our communication skills in a safe environment where you're not judged or no tomatoes thrown at you and you're just able to speak freely. And it's a self-paced learning program.
As I remember Toastmasters a lot of years ago, you had somebody who was sitting there counting the oohs and the ahs and the ums and all that kind of good stuff. Is that still part of the game?
Yes, it is.
Oh, it is.
It is. It's important not to have those filler words, da, 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 double clutches, they call that. So it's important, and we practice.
Now, does somebody each month or each time have a topic? Tell me about an average meeting.
Sure. There's usually 2 or 3 speakers, and for each speaker, there's an evaluator. And then we have a table topic session, which is impromptu speaking. So you're thrown a question, and you don't have any idea what question you're going to answer. You have 2 to 3 minutes to answer it.
How many people are participating right now in Lincoln City in Toastmasters?
Right now we're down a little bit, so we're probably around 6 to 8 people, so we have plenty of room for more people to come join us.
Why?
Why?
Why do people get into Toastmasters?
Well, lots of reasons. I can tell you for me personally, I was networking out, Chamber of Commerce events, things like that, and I was so quiet, soft-spoken, I wasn't confident about speaking, so I wanted to learn and practice my speaking. And with Toastmasters, opportunities to practice as much as you want.
In a safe, secure setting.
Exactly.
Correct.
And that is huge.
Yeah, it is.
Yes.
It's a safe place. It's really the place to come and fail before you go fail in the real world. So you get to practice in a safe environment. Everybody's on your side there.
I love that come and fail in a safe environment.
Yes.
Interesting. And that's exactly what happens. Huh. Is there a cost for somebody to be a member of Toastmasters?
The cost is minimal. I believe it's even less than a community college would pay. What is it, $60 a month?
$60 for 6 months. So it's really only $10 a month.
Oh, $10 a month. Right,
Yeah.
correct.
I mean, you can't beat that price.
Yeah, that's good.
Yes.
That's good.
Yes.
What have you accomplished personally because of Toastmasters?
Speaking, obviously, I've gained confidence in public speaking, and also moderation skills, because one of the projects is moderate a panel. So a lot of panel discussions. I have more opportunity as Toastmaster and speakers. So I've had people, we hosted a Zoom Bible study, and I was the host. I had that skills and practice that I learned through Toastmasters.
I love it. Yeah, I love it. I forget how important Toastmasters were to me and how important it is to somebody else down the road.
Right. For your listeners, like they might be thinking, what's in it for me? Well, if you're looking for a job, it's a great place to learn job interview skills. Some Toastmasters Club, because it's international, and on Zoom, someplace you can go attend workshops to help you with your job search, the networking opportunities. The whole point is you can make it your program. If you want to speak, great. If you want to learn leadership skills, moderation skills, you can get out of it whatever you put into it. It's your deal.
You learn those skills by doing, right?
Absolutely. That's the thing. That's back to that whole practicing that safe, supportive environment.
Personally, what has Toastmasters meant to you?
Mine, I was driven to go to Toastmasters, my very first meeting back in 2003. And that's when my daughter left the nest. So I had an empty nest as a divorced mom. And I wanted to do something that was for Sheila. And that's where I found my home with Toastmasters, not only by speaking, but by, meeting other women and other men that are like-minded in the community.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And again, Hollywood Joe, you did talk about the Chamber of Commerce and being able now to present at a chamber luncheon or whatever and feel comfortable doing that.
Right. Back when I was in Chicago, there's multiple things besides chamber. So all these networking events, I just got the confidence and skills and learned to speak up and stand out and be confident and clear. Another personal benefit I got, unexpected benefit. Unexpected. They talked about Beach Town is in-person only. Many clubs are still online only, and some are hybrid, where they meet in person and they're on Zoom, which is interesting. But back in 2020, I wanted to really practice my public speaking. So I set a mission to myself to attend 90 Toastmasters meetings in 90 days, and I gave over 80 prepared speeches. And then as I went along, I said, let's make it a little harder and give a speech in every state. So
Really?
Yeah, every state and
Remind
some
me to
Canada.
give you my travel agent card before you leave.
It was all on Zoom, so I'm up from my basement. But in that time, the short version was, in those states, I met Sheila in Oregon while I was living in Chicago. She became a mentor, a friend, and then later on, we got engaged at Toastmasters on Zoom. And then this year in April was the one time Beach Town was online. So we did a hybrid meeting. So we got married in person during the Toastmasters meeting. We had 15 people in the room and 33 people on Zoom.
That is wonderful.
Every woman's dream, I'm sure.
That's got to be one of the best stories that I've heard in a long time on a wedding. It's marvelous.
Yeah.
I hope you write that down.
Oh, yeah. I mean, we met at a club in Portland online, and then we got engaged at that same club. We did a combination of pre-recorded speech and did the engagement on my knees, camera on, and full screen, live.
Before we get out of here, again, if I want to be involved in Toastmasters, I do what?
You can contact me, Hollywood Joe, because we do meet the second and fourth Thursday of every month from noon to 1 o'clock at the Lincoln City Cultural Center. We start on time, end on time, and have a good time. And again, you can contact me at hollywoodjoem@gmail.com. And we have a special event coming up. Stay tuned for this one. Regular time, Thursday, again, 12 to 1 at Lincoln City Cultural Center is our open house. We'll have refreshments, door prizes, and entertaining speeches. Be our guest and see what Toastmasters looks like for you.
If you're looking for great early garden fresh produce, it's Kenny's IGA in the Bay Area of Lincoln City. 4 generations of Morgans caring for your every grocery need. All of your favorite beverages, a full deli, meat, produce, and of course, groceries.
We may be young, but we are experienced. Hi, Adina Zeller here, and Zeller's restaurants are now a year old, but the experience in preparing and serving food goes way back generations. Zeller's Lincoln City and Rose Lodge. Come on in.
Northwest Septic Service is your one-stop shop for all your septic needs.
Northwest Septic Service offers pumping, maintenance, repair, and inspections with one call, 541-994-6977.
Buying or selling a home? Northwest Septic Service can inspect your sewer line or an entire septic system.
Old or failing septic system? Northwest Septic Service can rejuvenate most drain fields, saving you thousands of dollars. 541-994-6977.
Serving Lincoln, Tillamook, and Yamhill counties, Northwest Septic Service. Water everywhere. That's what we're going to talk about with Mid-Coast Watershed Council. Evan Hayduck is with us. Mid-Coast Watershed Council is what?
So we're a nonprofit organization based in Newport. We cover almost 1 million acres along the coast. We do a lot of mostly salmon-focused restoration, but really looking at whole watershed restoration, restoring kind of ecosystem process type stuff. Put a lot of wood in streams, plant a lot of trees.
Back up. Putting wood in the streams. Tell me about that.
So we call it large woody debris.
Okay.
Historically, all of our coast streams would have had a bunch of wood. Imagine old growth across the whole landscape. All those trees are falling in these creeks. There was actually systematic efforts to remove all that wood by agencies all the way up into the 70s and 80s. We all realized that was the wrong thing to be doing. And so
Mother
now,
Nature had a better idea?
That's right. Mother Nature usually knows best. Our motto really is more wood, more good. We're trying to kind of get back to those historic rates of wood loading in our streams, estuaries, and that's what our fish need, and that's actually what our streams need just for their structure.
Okay, when we're talking about streams, we got the sluts, the salmon, we got all of these rivers that in and around North Lincoln County. Are you doing projects on all of them, or is it just a small tributary type
We
thing?
work everywhere. We call it ridge top to reef. So
Okay.
we're working all the way from the headwaters, the wadable streams where we see salmon spawning. We have a lot of focus down in estuary areas for salmon and other species using those saltwater areas. And we're working everywhere in between, main stems, small tributaries. Coho really guide us with this. We know they have all these different life history pathways through the watershed. We're trying to make it so they have all the options available to them everywhere through the watershed. So we're working in, from the very top of the mountain all the way down out, actually even to the near shore, and Salmon River down to Cape Creek down in
So
Plain
do you
County.
work hand in glove with a lot of the other organizations that are doing somewhat similar type projects?
Absolutely. Yeah, we like to, we sometimes call ourselves the glue between all those local, state, federal agencies that are often, doing their own thing on their own turf. Mm-hmm. We like to try to make those connections, build these big watershed scale projects, and get those folks that sometimes don't talk to each other, get them talking to each other, planning and working together. Absolutely.
Give me an example of a project recently completed.
So we are in between phases of some work at Lower Drift Creek on the Siletz, actually working with the Siletz National Wildlife Refuge. So they're the main landowner there. We're working with private landowners around there. BLM, Bureau of Land Management, has some ownership in actually any weird little island that forms out in the bay is actually BLM's turf, which is just kind of a weird thing that happens, but that gives us actually a nexus to them, and they're a partner on that project. And yeah, we work with the Lincoln Soil Water Conservation District. They do a lot of our tree planting with their crews, and we're bringing all these folks together. That process started all the way back in 2018 with funding, looking for funding, getting designs, and we completed phase 1 summer 23 on 2 of the tracks, and next summer we'll be working right along Highway 101 on what's called the Kangas track to just restore tidal flow and kind of get it back to what it used to be before it was really altered the last 100 years.
One of the key words you just said is funding.
Absolutely. That's our life.
And where does the funding for the council come from?
Yeah, we get most of our funding from what's called the Oregon Watershed Enhancement Board.
Okay.
It's a state agency that was set up all the way back in the late 90s, kind of when salmon populations crashed. It was called the Governor's Watershed Enhancement Board at that time. The state realized something had to be done about salmon. They set up the funding structure, as well as that's what set up all these watershed councils, the Oregon Plan for Salmon and Watersheds. So we're kind of 60 to 80 different groups across the state that do this work. We get base funding from them, so every 2 years we kind of have the, keep the lights on funding. Mm-hmm. And then most of our projects, we have application cycles every 6 months through them that we apply, wait 6 months, get the funding, and then we pair that with a lot of federal funding opportunities, a lot of these big bipartisan infrastructure legislation, Inflation Reduction Act put a bunch of money into NOAA, these other federal agencies, and there's kind of a federal tap of funding that they're really utilizing right now while it's there.
So Mid-Coast Watershed Council, is it just Lincoln County or is it other counties as well?
Mostly Lincoln. We've got tiny little bit up in Tillamook County, kind of the headwaters of the Salmon River, tiny little bit of Polk County in the upper Siletz, good chunk of Benton County, and then Western Lane as well. So pretty much, we like to say Cascade Head to Heceta Head, everything that's draining out to the coast. So that's, bulk of that is Lincoln County, but kind of fringes of some of these other counties as well.
So is the lion's share of your work now, or is it during the summer, or?
We work year-round. Summer is what we call our in-water work season. So that's when we're doing these big heavy equipment projects, putting wood in creeks, removing levees, that type of work. That's just when the impact on salmon is least. But fall, winter, that's our planting season. So this time of year, we're doing a lot of tree planting. And then those kind of shoulder seasons, we're doing maintenance. And all year, we're writing grants and developing new projects, too. So, yeah, you see a lot of action in the summer when it's driest conditions, lowest flow. I joke with my staff. I always say, we'll get to that when it calms down. I've been with Mid-Coast for 8.5 years. It hasn't calmed down yet.
Still waiting for that time.
Still waiting for it, yep.
Is there a point in time where you say, okay, we have accomplished X?
So it's really difficult to, really ever say we're done with an area.
Okay.
It's always developing. We're always kind of tweaking. We're always learning more. So we're revisiting a lot of projects that were done 20 years ago now. And, in that time, we've learned a lot about the techniques and strategies. So one way to look at it is it's job security. We're always going to have a job.
Sure.
There's a lot of work to do out there. But, yeah, we try to do our best. And our grant windows are usually, 3, 4, 5 years is the chance we get to work in an area. But we're always keeping an eye on these areas, making sure we're getting back when we need to maintain them if needed.
Evan Hayduck, Mid-Coast Watershed Council, thanks for being here.
Absolutely. Thank you.
This has been interesting. And again, if somebody wants more information about the council,
midcoastwatersheds.org is our website. We have community meetings monthly, first Thursday in Newport at the Pacific Maritime Heritage Center. Email me, Evan at midcoastwc.org, and we'll find a place to have you help out if you can.
Wouldn't it be great to have all your insurance needs handled by one agency? This is Charlotte Lado with Farmers Insurance and the Insurance Store. Visit our office next to the Wildflower Grill in Lincoln City. Let us be your one stop for your personal, commercial, health, and Medicare insurance needs.
We at La Roca are proud of our food, but don't take our word for it. Read the reviews. One person wrote, the service was friendly and efficient. Another writes, La Roca has become one of our favorites because it's authentic Mexican food.
Bob's Beach Books in the Ocean Lake area of Lincoln City does in fact have what you'll want to read. I'm Diana Portwood, and if we happen to be out of a particular bestseller, in a day or two we'll have it back in the store waiting for you. Bob's Beach Books, so you can join the conversation.
we are recording part of our podcast at Senior Fair this year. With us is the good Dr. Leslie Ogden, Samaritan North Lincoln Hospital, Pacific Communities Hospital. The Senior Fair does what for the hospital systems here in the county?
Well, it really allows us to show some of our most major customers, right? We know in Lincoln County we're age 50 and older, about 50% of us. So it really allows this customer base that we have to interact with us and we show off what's going on. For example, we have a new pharmacy that'll be opened on the North Lincoln campus by the end of this year. And so we have a pharmacy table over here where everybody can come and talk to our pharmacists and really understand, wow, this new resource in our community, what is it going to be and how's it going to help me?
That is really a major addition to the hospital and to the community.
Oh, it really is. We increasingly see ourselves living in a pharmacy desert where the pharmacy resources are constricting. Even the big box pharmacy stores just don't have as many resources. They're not open as much. They're faltering in some cases, right? We see empty shelves and signs up that people aren't open in the same manner as they were before. But yet our population continues to increase and our need for pharmacy services continues to increase. So this is our way of providing those resources to our community, and it'll be right there on our campus across the parking lot from the hospital.
Now, something we want to talk about in this particular segment is resiliency. What does that mean to the hospital?
Well, resiliency is very important to us because, previously when we had our old wooden hospital, we were thinking, maybe we don't have that much resiliency, meaning if there is a bad thing that happens, a natural disaster or something, what are our opportunities to continue to serve the community from that location? And, previously, we didn't think we were going to do such a good job, but now we have a brand new hospital at North Lincoln, a brand new hospital at Pacific Communities. If something happens, those hospitals are likely going to be the buildings that are still standing, right? And so what is our commitment then to be able to continue to deliver care out of those buildings? Do we have the resources to do that? And so that's what resiliency means to us. It means to be able to continue to serve the community even when the worst sorts of disasters happen. And incidentally, we've seen some of those worst disasters play out over the last week with Hurricane Helene. We've heard in North Carolina and in Tennessee especially how some hospitals are faltering and they don't have things like clean water and electricity and all of the things that they need to serve their community. So we are trying to come up with those strategies and actually working with consultants right now on the first challenge, which is water.
We don't have to go back real far into history of Lincoln City, North Lincoln County to know how important the resiliency programs can be when you think of the fires that were out at Otis.
Oh, absolutely. And wildfires are one of those things that we didn't think were really such a risk, right? It hadn't happened in so long, but then one happens and then we understand all over again our risk profile for so many different types of disasters is pretty darn high. So how are we going to mitigate that? How are we going to take care of ourselves, but even better, take care of our big institutions like our hospital and make sure that we can deliver care despite what nature might bring to us?
It's critically important that the hospitals remain open and available to the community in the event of an emergency situation.
Oh, absolutely, because we anticipate with any type of either man-made or natural disaster, people get hurt. They need the hospital to be there. And, short of evacuation like we had to do for, everybody's well-being at that time, that unknown as you see the fire coming over the ridge, short of that, we need to be there and we need to take care of our community. So to that end, we are working with a consultant firm called Dig Deep Research, and they are partnered already with the city of Newport on their dam project. We've already got a full shovel-ready project to go for Pacific Communities Hospital to have a water tank that will have a month's worth of water in an emergent situation. We're working with the city because that's part of the city water system otherwise, unless there's an emergency. But that tank will sit on the grounds there. So as soon as FEMA funding comes through, we'll build that project. Now we're working on North Lincoln's water project. Where can we situate a month's worth of water? What does that look like? How does that work? We're partnering with engineers to figure that out, and then we'll figure out the funding on how do we pay for this.
A lot of people wouldn't even begin to realize how important that is until it's too late.
Oh, absolutely. And water, I will tell you right now, a hospital cannot operate without water. And that's a play on words, right? Operate without, like water, it's necessary for surgeries, it's necessary for wounds, it's necessary for even food preparation. That's part of taking care of patients as well. We cannot operate without fresh, clean water, and we need to have a solution. And that's the number one thing we're working on for resiliency. But beyond that, we need to tackle fuel, we need to tackle supplies, we need to tackle medications, so many things to work on.
I would have to think that the other thing that you are up against in having to tackle all of these various items that you talked about is the fact that if something happens, is the tsunami or whatever, we're going to be left to under our own.
Absolutely, and that's why I speak to a month's worth of resiliency, because we have heard from the Department of Geology and Mineral Industries, DOGAMI, at the state that we better prepare ourselves for a month of having no one come in on their white horse, ride in and rescue us, that we need to be resilient for that length of time. And so that's why our target is a month's worth of water, and then again, we'll tackle all the others that likewise will be a month's worth of, and that'll be our plan for, the coming decades, that we'll work on these types of projects.
The train is right on time. Grand Funk Railroad, the American Band. Saturday, November 9th, Chinook Winds Casino Resort. Tickets on sale now at ChinookWinds.com. Chinook Winds box office or by phone at 1-888-MAIN-ACT.
Some of the other activities in and around the Lincoln City area: Seven Capes Bird Alliance, along with the Mid-Willamette Bird Alliance, the Coast Range Association, Sierra Club Oregon Chapter, and Wild Salmon Center, excited to announce that there's going to be a webinar series on the vital connections between coastal forests and the marine ecosystem. Timber and Tides is a free 3-part webinar series, and they invite you to be part of that. It's interesting that we received it at the same time we're talking about the Mid-Coast Watershed Council. I did not realize all of the work that they actually do.
Yeah, and so the Mid-Coast has kind of absorbed the Salmon Drift Creek Watershed Council, which, of course, ran for 20 years at the lead, thanks to Paul Caton and as president, and, of course, staffers, including Catherine and other folks. But so Midcoast now is kind of the umbrella of all those watershed councils up and down our Central Oregon coast.
And how does that tie into the Biosphere Collaborative?
Yeah, so, the Midcoast, they're really focused on the restoration stuff.
Okay.
Like he was talking about the salmon superhighway. In some vernacular, they'll call it working to create a salmon superhighway. And that's basically just creating space for salmon that used to be there, fixing culverts, adding wood, like he talked about. The Biosphere Collaborative, we're really more on the education and outreach side of things right now. We're not doing restoration ourselves, but certainly something we can support, and so glad that they're here working in our community.
We have a cruise party upcoming. In April, you'll have an opportunity to join the Lincoln City Chamber of Commerce on board Holland America cruise ship. But more importantly, Dr. Estelle Harlan will lead a discussion based on her book theme, Life and Career Transitions. An interesting dialogue, an interesting set of programs that are going to be taking place. Inside cabins start at just $647 per person, double occupancy. And this is going to be a 4-night, 5-day cruise out of Vancouver with stops in Seattle and in Victoria. Lincoln City Caregiver Support Group, presented by Alzheimer's Association, the first and third Thursdays of each month, 10 to 11:30 at the Lincoln City Senior Center. Like the ballroom dance, Paul? I know you and Allison got involved in ballroom dancing. Dancing with the Stars.
Okay, well, I didn't know we had, but good to know.
Well, no, remember on a cruise ship, you
yes,
were in Dancing
we
with
did a
the
little
Stars.
cha-cha. No, that's right. Yeah, we did a little cha-cha training up there on stage, and it was good fun.
Ballroom dance lessons being taught the first and second Tuesdays of each month at 11 o'clock at the Lincoln City Senior Center. Also, the 47th Annual Restoration Powwow is going to be taking place on Saturday, November 16th. Confederated Tribes of Siletz Indians invite you to the 47th Annual Restoration Powwow to be held up at Chinook Winds. All dancers and drummers are invited to attend. Grand Entry is going to be at 6 o'clock. And if you've never been to Grand Entry, upstairs in the Convention Center of Chinook Winds, and all of the dancers come in, all of the drums are beating, and the upstairs is just vibrating.
Yeah, it does.
It is alive.
It is. It's fabulous, and look forward to seeing that again this year.
This is a family event, drug and alcohol free. It is indeed, and congratulations to all of the members of the tribe, including our good friend Dee Pigsley, who is the chairman of the Confederated Tribes of Siletz Indians. Anything else on your side of the table?
Yeah, I just want to wish everybody a happy Veterans Day coming up here as our program airs on the 11th, of course. Thanks to all the vets and their hard work and service, and the current military folks as well. So,
and you'll see members of the American Legion Post up at Safeway offering free poppies. So accept one of the poppies that they will be offering you. Make a contribution, be it $1, $5, $10. All of that money goes to support activities of the American Legion Post, primarily in assistance of veterans in and around the Lincoln City area. So a couple of bucks goes a long ways to helping people down the road. And those are the guys and gals that have laid it all on the line for the rest of us. So help us help them.
Yes, absolutely.
That'll do it to the doings. And we invite you to share, to like, subscribe, everything above that. And they do that how?
Yeah, so you can just go to our website, doublershow.com, and subscribe to the newsletter. You can just clip that and send it as a Facebook post to your friends and family, and or however you like to share information. We'd appreciate it.
That'll do it to the doings. For Paul and Jana, I'm Double R. Have yourself a happy day.
You've been listening to The Double R Show. Join Roger and Paul Robertson as they explore everything about North Lincoln County. The Double R Show, produced by Always Productions and hosted by Roger Robertson. Have a story? Email contact@alwaysproductions.com or call 458-201-3039. For The Double R Show, I'm Jana Grawn.